Yo, what's good, family? This is Brian, aka the infamous CPA, and I'm vibing with the People's Champ.
Back to another episode of Get in Tune. Today we have a special guest, man. Brian, the infamous CPA, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, man. Super excited to be here and looking forward to having a dope conversation.
For sure, man. Thank you for coming on, man. I was telling you before, what you do is dope, and I think it's something our community definitely needs to know.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Let's
but
get into it.
yeah, so just to start the interview off, you can simply just tell us where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago. Was born in Harvey area, but spent most of my adolescence in like the Park Forest area, if those are familiar. So yeah, I've been in Chicago basically my whole life.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, kind of take us back to like, where did this all begin? Like, what the path you on now? Kind of like, and then just for people who don't know what you're doing, kind of explain what you do.
Yeah, so first I'll start off. So where I am now, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a certified public accountant licensed in Illinois. I also have a digital consulting business and I'm a full-time entrepreneur. So it's been a long route to get here. So I started off, like I mentioned, I come from a low income background. Mom and dad, they wasn't really financially competent or didn't have, huge interest or knowledge on financial literacy. So that kind of held us back. And even though we lived check to check majority of my life, my mom, she always made sure we had, the flyest clothes and things of that nature. So growing up, when I got my first job, working as a cashier at Culver's, I kind of repeated that same materialistic process, buying the mics, buying the graphic tees to match all of that or whatever. But it wasn't really until I graduated college at Northern Illinois University till I really started to analyze my past and kind of where I was going because I looked up, and I had a terrible credit score in the 500s. I had, tons of credit card debt, student loan debt. I bought a brand new car, which I shouldn't have, that made me live check to check throughout most of my college experience. So once I graduated and I got a decent job working as an auditor for PwC, one of the big four accounting firms, I knew it was kind of time to change that around. So what I did was I focused on my mindset first. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and say, okay, my family grew up doing this. The wealthy families grew up doing this. So I tried to exhibit traits that, wealthy people do. So I started off by reading a ton of books. So I think my first year of actually, trying to do better for myself was in 2018. And I read 24 books that year on mindset, on personal finance, real estate, whatever, so have you. And then from there, I kind of just started jumping into a ton of different endeavors. So I wanted to start real estate. So I actually started shadowing one of my fraternity brothers who flip houses in Chicago. And every day after work, I'm going to his projects. I'm putting in some work with him, learning some tools of the trades, tricks of the trade. And then from there, I bought my first property. I started investing in the car rental business as well. So I currently have 16 rental cars. And now I do a ton of teaching as well, like financial literacy, real estate, the car rental business through my digital consulting business. And we could do the COVID-19. Now I'm a full-time entrepreneur because I actually got laid off back in mid-March, and I've been flourishing ever since as a full-time entrepreneur. So that's a short story to where I am now and how I got there.
That's super dope, and like I remember seeing when you said that you got laid off and how happy you was. You people don't usually say stuff like that, and you really turned it around and made it into a blessing. That's how we have to take life, head on. So, far as that, so out of all the things you do, like kind of how do you balance this? How do you get to this point where you can balance so much? And like what were some of those starter books as well? That people may have to take a look into.
Yeah, so as far as like time management and balancing, I think I just got a ton of experience just from past experiences. So in college, man, pretty much everybody for the most part who was in like Black Greek letter organizations or anybody in general at NIU that really applied themselves, they juggled a ton of different things. So that's where I kind of got experience, being in multiple organizations at the the same time while having multiple jobs, internships, whatever, so have you. And then over time, I think I kind of got stuck with that. So um, yeah, I'm so in tune with just juggling a ton of different things at one time. It's become normal. So when I'm doing like one or two things, I get bored and I feel like it's nothing for me to do. So I think I kind of just got used to really just staying busy. But as far as time management, I'm really big on my calendar. Like even for this, I'm like, bro, we got to get this on the
Yeah.
calendar. It's like I'm not gonna remember if it's not in the calendar. I promise you, I won't. Um, so really just focusing on like putting everything into my Google Calendar, getting those reminders up. I used to write everything down when I had the time to, but now I don't. So now I just rely on the technology to remind me of things coming up. But yeah, it's really just being committed to each different lane. One thing I do tell people though is don't try to stretch yourself too thin early on. Like it's great to be, what do they call, like someone, they want to be a jack of all trades but
Yeah.
a master of none. But at the same time, if you can hone down on, I say, one or three things, then you can go a little bit further. Because you got to understand that you're going to basically give half effort or a percentage effort to each individual thing that you're trying to invest your time in, because your time is split. So if you're not at the point where you can hire people to fill in the void for the time that you can't put in to keep the business growing or whatever the hustle is, like then you need to reevaluate what you're doing, in my opinion. But as far as those starter books, let's see. So of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad was a great read. I read a lot of books by, I'm trying to remember his name. Damn,
The guy who made
John Maxwell. It was John Maxwell. So How to Be Successful, How Successful People Think, Attitude 101. And he has a ton of very, very short reads. They're probably like 70 to 80 pages, but they're really quick and to the point, and you get a lot of gems out of them. And then what else did I read? The Richest Man in Babylon was a really great read on like personal finance, but in a story kind of fashion. So it wasn't just like a boring personal finance book. Then one of my favorite reads is called wow, and it's escaping me right now. I'm gonna pull it up real quick because this is my favorite book and it's just escaping me right now. I might have to just come back to that. But those two, so Rich Dad Poor Dad, all of the Maxwell books, and then this book that's fucking escaping me. Wow. But it's by T. Harv Eker. I can tell you that much. It's by T. Harv Eker. And let me just Google it real quick. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. That's what it's called. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And the reason why this book is so great is because it breaks down not only the difference between, how the poor, the middle class, and the wealthy think, but it tells us basically the actions that follow and how we can go about reprogramming basically our money mindset in order to basically do better financially. So that's one book that I highly, highly recommend that anyone reads, when they're trying to turn their life around financially. That is a really, really great read. If you read that book, understand it, forgive yourself for those past mistakes, and then really just move forward to reinvent your own financial trajectory, like you can go so much further. But what a lot of people do is they get kind of caught up in all the mistakes that they made in the past, and then they get depressed. It's like really taking the time out to realize those mistakes. That is a blessing because everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't even have time to. You got to think about, some people, like, for example, if you have a single mother who's working, 40, 50 hours a week or just juggling multiple jobs, still has to take care of a kid, she doesn't really have a ton of time to go out her way to kind of learn these traits. So that's why it's really best to start as young as you can. Like that's why I think it's super great everything that you're doing. I know you had the mentoring group with chess, like really teaching those young kids to think differently at that young age can set them up for so much success in the future. So I think it's great what you're doing as well, and I hope I can have some impact on the youth too. So
Oh, definitely, man, definitely. That was actually, it's crazy that you just said that because I was leading into my next question. I was going to ask you, what are some ways that you think personally, just personally, ways we can implement this into our community at a younger age for younger people to be more financially literate. You know, seeing how that's not in curriculum.
Yeah, so I think first thing foremost, we have to really put an emphasis on reading. Like we have to get the knowledge first and foremost, because one thing I've noticed is that, like I said, when people are so busy and they caught up and they're stuck in their own ways, we got to get to the kids. Like we're at the point where in some cases we can't even rely on their parents, and we already know to an extent we can't really rely on the school systems. So we really got to come up with creative and unique ways to make it fun for the youth while also basically brainwashing them in the right way to be financially literate. So really just going out, speaking to them, just making it fun with them. Like a lot of things I've seen work is like connecting financial literacy to concepts with sports or concepts with rap or hip hop or whatever. Just finding ways to connect with them. But at the end of the day, they gotta read. And I think one way we can do it is with apps as well. I've seen some really dope apps. I forget the names of them right now, but they have like games implemented in them. But at the same time, they're teaching you different financial literacy concepts. And that's one hope I have one day, to be able to create an app that's going to be widely used by billions of people, that not only that help them basically with their financial literacy. So finding a ways to make it addicting, like I remember Temple Run back in the day. Like everybody's hooked on
Yeah.
Temple Run. So if you can find something that can be that addicting, but at the same time educate the masses, man, that's going to be a super powerful app.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Um, and then just to kind of talk about apps, right? You talk about that and with the young people. One thing that I've noticed that has been a huge part of you know your success, besides the work you put in, is social media.
Yeah.
Uh, Social media, you have a huge following. I see you do a lot through there, and we want to speak more to that and how you kind of just took advantage of social media and how that started.
Yeah. So originally I had dreams of being debt free. And that plan kind of was derailed because as I read more and more into personal finance, I realized that um, I was going to be putting myself at a disadvantage kind of by going the debt free route, because
Yeah,
I was going to be throwing a bunch of cash at debt when I can be invested and getting a higher return. So I looked at it this way, if I got $1,000 in debt, or if I got let's say a car loan with a $300 minimum payment, if I can buy an investment that pays me $500 a month, now it can pay for that car loan as well as pay me an additional $200 a month. So I took that approach. And that's what kind of led me to opening up a separate Instagram page for like finance and entrepreneurship and things of that nature. But originally, I just wanted to have a space where if I was going to be mindlessly scrolling social media, I
yeah,
wanted to actually be mindlessly learning stuff. So I'm like, I'm only going to follow personal finance people, realtors, contractors, all of that stuff. And then it just grew into a brand where I just started to share what I learned. So that was really the basis of it. And now I'm able to, impact. I think I got 15K on Instagram and a little over 11K on Twitter. So now I think it's great because now I can share what I'm learning every day, and I'm not coming from a place where it's like I'm sitting upon this peak. It's like, no, if you've been here for a couple of years now, you've
watch the
seen me
process.
grow from reading all those books to increasing my net worth by over 200K in the past 2 years. You've seen that progression. So now my hope is that individuals like, damn, okay, this person who looks like me, maybe graduated from a similar school than me, and they've been able to basically grind and grind and grind and get to the point where they are now, and it's just been only 2 years. So imagine if I tap in now, I start learning these tools and I learn from all of his mistakes, and now I'm able to progress in a year or 6 months. So that's kind of the idea behind it. And social media is a really great avenue, not only to educate yourself, but also if you have a skill, or if you have something that others will find value in, you could sell those services, or you give them out for free for a little bit of time and just help the overall community. So I think I'm blessed to be in a position where not only just being in this era of just, social media, the way ideas can kind of spread like wildfire, but be able to network with these individuals as well. Because I met so many dope individuals that helped me make money, that have taught me things, and maybe they don't even know it just by, maybe sending out a tweet or putting up an Instagram post, and me just going on the back end and just doing my research and just finding out different ways to make money, save money, um, finesse so many different ways. I
Mm-hmm.
think social media is a really great avenue, but you have to be willing to actually use it for that purpose, because it is really easy to get caught up in the comedy, all the sports, the shopping. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in all that. So you really got to be focused and really design your timeline to where it benefits you. But you can do both. You don't got to be like all personal finance, anything like
Yeah.
that. Like, definitely have that comedy in there, especially on Twitter, because Twitter, man, Twitter, my favorite app. Like, Twitter to go. Like, man, you get everything on Twitter.
Yeah, man, Twitter undefeated. Speaking of Twitter, like, I know you had a couple of viral tweets. You had a bunch of viral tweets, and it's just funny that I see people. I'm not from Chicago. I'm from Detroit.
Right.
So I'll see people like on Facebook posting your tweets like from Detroit, which I think is just like crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's just a blessing to be in that position, because it's not with a lot of bullshit we got going on in the world right now. Just actually some knowledge being shared and stuff like that. So that's dope, man. And to commend you on that for sure. Next, I just kind of want to speak about, you spoke about like saving. So what are some of, like, real quick, briefly, like some of your best tips when you come to like saving money? I know you have like spreadsheets and other things of that sort, but
So my not even number one tip, but the first thing I recommend to every individual is that you got to have some type of separation in your finances. And what I mean by that is the average person is going to basically have one checking account and maybe one savings account, where they're using that checking account to pay bills and to spend money. So if they go on a shopping spree and they overspend, it's like, damn, okay, now you ate into your bill money. So I would say first and foremost, like, separate your accounts. Have at least one checking account for bills and one for spending. Like, separate that first and foremost. Then I always say have multiple saving accounts as well, because you need at least one for your emergency fund, which is basically an account where you save for emergencies. And most people will say it's best to have at least 3 to 6 months of savings for emergencies. And then from there, you really just got to be disciplined. Like, you have to create a budget so you know exactly, how much money you have coming in and how much money you have coming out. Because a lot of times when I'm working with clients and we sit down and create a budget, they notice immediately, like, damn, this is how much I'm able to save every month. Why don't I have any savings? Like, because you spend it all. Like, so once people create that budget, that light bulb go off, like, damn, okay, either I have enough and I can save a couple hundred or a couple thousand a month, or I'm not earning enough and now I need to find ways to make more money so that I can save more. So you really got to diagnose the issue and then kind of really be disciplined in order to change that. Like, the number one thing I think people spend on without even realizing or overspend on is food. Like, eating out, it's so convenient nowadays. The DoorDash, the Uber Eats, like, all those delivery fees, they eat up, and before you know it, you done ran up $500 a month just from food. But if you would have cooked, and it's just you or it's just two people, like, you can easily probably get that down, to $250 or something like that. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I was renovating my place. I was literally eating out every single day. I got up to spending $600 a month on food. Like, it was ridiculous. Granted, I could afford it at the time, but man, cutting back on that it's paid so many dividends, like, saved me a ton of money. Now I'm able to put more money in the stock market, flip that, and just continually to grow my wealth, all from doing that one thing. So just finding ways to basically increase your income while decreasing your expenses. But I always say focus more on the increasing your income part, because, like, your income is no limit to how much that can increase, but it's always a limit to how much you can decrease your expenses. So those are a couple of ways I say you should save money. And then for people that's like recently graduating college or anything like that, don't be afraid to go home and stay with your parents. Like, you can save a ton of money that way. Even if your parents want you to pay or contribute a little bit, like I'm sure it's gonna be way less than having your own apartment, because you got to think about, you first, you got to pay, first and last month of rent. In most cases, you might have a security deposit on top of that. You might have a move-in fee. Like, you got to furnish the apartment, then you got utilities. Like, if you can stay home for a little bit or get some roommates to decrease that cost, or even house hack, like you have a pretty decent job, you have a semi-average credit score, like I always recommend house hacking, which is basically buying a multi-family property like a duplex or a 3-unit apartment building, and then staying in one unit and renting out the other two. And that was one way I was able to stop paying rent for an extended period of time, and also bring in some additional income. And now that one decision that I made is about to pay out 95K, because I'm selling the property right now. It's appreciated pretty rapidly. So definitely, if you're interested in real estate, like check out house hacking. I have a very detailed course that'll walk you through it, from A to Z. So those are a couple of ways, I recommend, saving money.
Definitely. And it's like you leading these answers leading right into the next questions, because I was definitely going to get into, no, please do, not to brag, but tell us about more stuff that you have. I know you do have the house hacking courses, but what else do you have going on? Like,
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the free resources. So I have a monthly budget spreadsheet in my bio, so definitely take advantage of that. Super detailed, and it also has a pie graph where it's going to break down basically, each category of your expenses relative to your income. So like, okay, maybe I'm spending 30 to 40% on housing, maybe I'm spending 20% on food, and then over time, as you adjust that budget, you can see, what higher percentage of savings you can save each month. Like, always recommend saving at least 10% of your income, but for beginners. But if you're really trying to go far financially, you need to figure out a way to get to that 40 to 50% mark, and even higher, to save 40 to 50% of your income. So that's one thing I have. I have a net worth tracker as well, because I started tracking my net worth in January of 2018. And you can't really measure something unless you're tracking it. So that's why I always say, track these very important metrics. And for those who don't know, your net worth is basically your assets minus your liabilities, and it basically just tells you how much you're worth. When you're seeing people on Forbes and they say they have $1 billion net worth, they don't necessarily have $1 billion in cash. It's just their assets minus their liabilities equals over $1 billion in net worth. So I definitely recommend tapping into that. These are all my free resources. I also have a credit card tracking tool. And what this does, like if you're looking to get out of credit card debt, this is a very detailed spreadsheet to help you track where you are. And then you can set a target utilization rate. So, like, okay, I want to have, 10% of this balance left on my credit card. And then it tells you how much you need to pay off. Then you can adjust the spreadsheet over time as you pay things off, and it helps you stay really organized. So I'm trying to think. Okay, I got one more free resources. So I have a book. I have books in my link in bio as well, with over 80 books on personal finance, real estate. It has some finance in there as well. And it has a lot of leadership books, a lot of mindset books as well. So tap into that. I know the Rich Dad Poor Dad is in there, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and it's a host of other really, really dope books. So definitely check those out. They're all PDFs, so you can get those for free as well. And then for my other courses, I have a course on the car rental business. So it basically walks you through A to Z how to get started in the car rental business, to make passive income. So I've been able to build up a 16 car portfolio over the last couple of years. And some people are growing much faster than I did, because now they don't have to learn from all of the mistakes that I made. They don't have to go through those. They basically just learn from them and really just grow much, much faster than I did. So I think that's super dope. Or you can bundle those two courses up, the car rental and the house hacking course, and just get them for a lower rate in a bundle versus, buying them individually. Um, and I also do credit repair. So I have a business called 700 Circle LLC, and we help individuals with credit counseling, and basically increase their credit scores. So tap into that. You can find us at the700circle.com, or you can find us on Instagram at the700circle. I'm trying to think. Is that everything? So I feel like I'm all over the place. I do a lot.
Oh, you good. You good.
Yeah, I think for the most part that's pretty much everything. But my website is the infamouscpa.com. Just revamped it, so you can check that out. I think it's the first time I actually shared that. I just finished that website too, by the way. So that's
Okay.
dope.
Exclusive drop on here.
Right. So I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at the infamous CPA, always talking about, personal and professional development as well as finance tips, real estate, tax tips, all of that good stuff. So definitely tap in, and I hope you learned something.
Definitely. Definitely. Hey man, one last question. I mean, one last thing. Just what I'm saying. Like again, appreciate you for coming on. Um, just any other advice that you want to get off your chest before we close the interview. You
Yeah. So my number one thing I usually tell people, and I think this is the biggest thing that holds people back, is they don't believe in themselves enough. So, before you go out into the world and really try to put one foot in front of the other and start really progressing, I think you need to take time to really evaluate, who you are as an individual and if you truly believe in yourself. Because a lot of times we let our doubts and fears hold us back when in reality, we just don't believe in ourselves to the point where we're willing to go the mile to figure out, what can we really do? And that's the approach I try to take in life. Like I really want to figure out what my true potential is and how far I can take it. And every day I'm trying to, get better. So I always tell people like, believe in yourself. That's number one. And it's not, I'm not even gonna say like it's a overnight process. Like for me, even, I grew up really shy. I grew up, really unconfident. Like I really struggled with self-confidence, and I really had to really take it day by day to turn that around. Now I'm at the point where I I got confidence, so I really feel like, I can do anything I put my mind to, and anything I invest in is going to work as long as I'm willing to put the work in to make it work. So believe in yourself. Take time out to really find who you are and what you like to do. Find out what makes you go, and then work every day to achieve that. Like make sure you're helping others, make sure you're being a blessing to others, and the universe will bless you as well. So that's all I got.
definitely, man. Thank you for the words, man. And again, thank you for coming on. Get in tune with Brian, the infamous CPA, man. Thank you for watching.
And thank you for having me again, bro.
Sure.